I'm Darden Rice, and I'm running for mayor of St. Petersburg. And it has been an honor to serve you this last almost 8 years on city council. And I'm running because I want an economy that works for all of us. And I want to fight to protect our quality of life and the things that make St. Pete special. And I put the arts right at the top of that list. I am the progressive voice in this race who will continue our momentum. And I think that our city, in a lot of ways, we want to continue this growth, but we don't want to leave people behind or knock down every old building. And I think if there's any city that can figure out how we start to build equity into our economic policies and how we look at growth, I think it's St. Pete. And I think having detailed conversations like this and how we actually support the arts community is really important. My mom was a activist by heart and an artist by trade. And so I'm not an artist myself, but I was the child who was raised by a struggling artist. And the struggle's real. The struggles of life on top of it, health issues, raising kids, affording where you live. There's lots of different ways to look at bringing affordability to the public, but we have to be much more proactive with a stronger plan. And we really have to acknowledge that this is a crisis. We have to start doing things that are different. This isn't like a ho-hum kind of thing. It's crisis time. So we've got to do things outside the box to really bring more affordable apartments and homes to market. There's a lot of tools in the toolbox. Community land trust. I'm a fan of all of it. And I'm disappointed that the state has taken some of the tools away because I want to look at things like inclusionary zoning, tiny homes. I'm a big proponent of increasing density along corridors and relaxing parking regulations. The other end of that equation is we can't completely build our way out of this situation. So the other end of the equation is bringing in better paying jobs so that people can be able to have more choices and afford more things because they have a better paying job. So I think it's a focus on both of those things. I believe it was Blackstone that came through and at one point in time, I think purchased upwards of 400 homes. It might have even been more. And as a city leader, that worries me on so many levels. And also, if that company falters, that's a lot of people who are left in a very, even more vulnerable position. Gentrification is a huge issue. We don't want St. Pete to become anywhere USA, and we don't want to lose what makes us special. And I think the key to all of that and protecting our authenticity, our grit, what makes us special, I think is protecting our affordability. And that's housing affordability. It's affordability for studios, affordability for business fronts, storefronts. And we need to step in proactively and not just wait for developers to come to us with affordable housing projects, but we need to utilize the land that we own to negotiate for permanent affordable housing. And I think that when it comes to the Blackstones of the world, there may be some ways, certainly, that the city can look at ways of watching what's coming through the pipeline in terms of permits. And there may be something that we need to tweak or flag as part of our permit approval process to make sure that we're not letting potential affordable housing really slip through our fingers because we have a couple of private entities that own so many homes. I do know that in general, the city just needs to step up in a lot of ways in some of our housing regulations if we want to fend off the negative impacts of gentrification. As a progressive mayor, I look at this on two fronts. One, there's the safety net issues. There's affordable housing, access to maybe a specialized type of health clinic, other types of city-supported work. But also, I don't want to always just treat the arts like a charity case or I think sometimes there's a perception that the artists are kind of waiting for handouts. And that doesn't help us, because I think when we look at the arts as an economic driver and how vitally important it is to our city, and as we bring in better paying jobs to the city, we know that businesses follow tech and they follow art. So as mayor, I'm going to look at the art and tech piece to bring in more employment, better paying jobs, and really supporting our community. But part of elevating the arts to a more sustainable level means that we've got to get more people here who are buying art. We need to elevate our presence internationally. We need people who have that ability to connect to other artists across the world, across the country, and really get St. Pete integrated into that, so that our artists can benefit from that kind of robust arts economy. I know it's hard to get by on selling your art when we don't have a huge community of arts buyers. So I think really focusing strategically on our arts and cultural commerce is the engine, but we also have to look at the safety net side so that we can attract beginning, new, and emerging artists, so that we're creating that incubator to help support and push the artist here. And I want to, as mayor, wear on my sleeve that we protect and take care of our artists, and that we've got your back. About 5 years ago, I was in New Orleans, and I was at the Spotted Cat Cafe and struck up a conversation with one of the musicians on the break. And he said, "I stayed in New Orleans because of the healthcare." So I did a little digging, and there's this New Orleans Musicians Clinic, and I started doing some research. The New Orleans Musicians Clinic is actually supported with private funds, and I thought it was something that would really be worthwhile to look at bringing to St. Petersburg as a way to show our artists that we have your back. And it would be a free clinic, and it would be offering special programs tailored to the arts community, whether it's helping vocalists get their voice back, or fixing blisters on a guitarist finger, or even dealing with substance abuse issues. Whatever it is that our community decides for itself that we need, the clinic is there as support. I think St. Pete would be ripe for something like this. There's some grants that I'm made aware of, and it's like you decide not to go for it because of all the trouble and it takes and time to go through with it. It's like, well, yeah, I'll go through all that trouble for a $50,000 grant, not a $5,000 grant. I don't have the time. And I think the city should continue some of its work in giving out grants ourselves. But I do want us to go to the next level. We have to do more than just, 5,000 here, 20,000 here, 15,000 for you. I feel like that's just barely keeping people's head above water. And if we want to be serious, we have to really talk about supporting people in sustainable ways. As I said earlier, my mom was an artist, so I'm particularly in tune with it. And there's always, when I see someone working a booth or working at a gallery, and I see that they have their children kind of playing with crayons in the corner while they're working, like, well, I was the kid. So I do see you, and yes, of course, I want to be the best mayor for the arts we've ever seen. And I am committed to the arts on a number of levels. I mean, I'm with you on the value proposition of the arts. Certainly, I do see artists, but I also want to take us to the next level and truly have a sustainable arts economy. And I love the question about, do you see me as an artist? Because I think that's maybe more of where we need to work on our St. Pete story, because it's more than just wanting to buy something that matches the sofa in the house It's, it's supporting important an important part of our community, that it's education, it's expression, it's vitality, and it's people that are supporting this and creating this and making this. And if we value this and want our community to be known for it, well, we have to support the people who are doing it. And it's really just that straightforward and that simple. I would be very much willing to look at the universal basic income idea. I noticed with the timing of some of these pilot projects, and I think Denver has one as well, a couple of the cities have started with a 6-month pilot project. And so that means that should be finishing up in the fall. So I think what would be a really great, easy first step would be to identify and invite some of those people from San Francisco and Denver and Skype them in for a presentation to city council or wherever, a Zoom call like this, whatever, wherever it makes sense. But really, let's work with our city hall and elected officials and look at what other cities are doing and let's try to emulate that success. And let's talk about what it would take to get something like that done here. And of course, as you guys know, I'm very interested in looking at what we could do that's something very akin to what New Orleans has done. New Orleans Health Clinic is based more on musicians. We may not quite have that same emphasis on musicians here, but who knows, maybe we'd have more musicians if we did. So I saw that Gainesville and Miami Gardens are part of the Mayors for Guaranteed Income. So I'd love to find out more what they're doing. And it sounds like there's a lot of great resources to tap into.